Hello everybody, my name is Putty and welcome to what is going to be a little bit of a preview video. I'm going to be looking at my team for the Eastside Invitational October League, second Premiership, Necromantic, and previewing my opening contest against Oklahoma City Thunder, that is of course Tucker's team. Thought I'd do a little preview video since I'm not going to be recording my games against the AI. Thought I would do a little bit of content to keep up with Charles and let you guys know that Charles is recording and uploading every video in the tournament, including his games against the AI, and I would check out his channel in the description below. But today, I'm going to be previewing my team, kind of giving you an idea as to what my strategy is going to be going into the game against Tucker, and then when I do the video, you'll have a better idea what I'm trying to achieve, and you can see where I've succeeded and where I've failed to implement my strategy. I think probably the first thing to do actually is to take a look at Tucker's team. Because before we talk about like designing a strategy to beat him, it's definitely gotta be, you've got to remember what you're facing. Tucker has a pretty standard opening lineup for orcs. He's got all of his black orcs and all of his blitzers. Really good players. 4 strength players at 80k each. Block players at 80k each. Really solid players. The orcs and the humans have always been considered kind of the best players, or the simplest, most core teams in Blood Bowl. And that's because they just have such a great roster that starts good and gets better. Like a lot of things about the dwarves and the Amazons, those are teams that start really good. And then Chaos and Elves, they get really good. Whereas humans and orcs always start good and then get better. So they're a really good team to start off with. He's also got 3 rerolls, which means he's going to be more reliable than my team. We'll show my team in a second, but we've only got 2 rerolls. And he has a thrower for picking up the ball. It's going to be really handy. Ooh, handy. It's going to be really handy for him. And his lineman. Or some people would say that this is the best lineman in the game, because 9 armor value for a lineman is so good. The point of a lineman is to take hits that you don't want the rest of your team to be taking. So 9 armor value just means he can keep taking those hits over and over and over again. However, this is where my strength as a team comes in, because I have a player that we're going to be talking about in a little bit who doesn't give a shit what your armor value is. So we're going to be definitely targeting these, not targeting these linemen, but having full awareness that we're going to get more stuns, more KOs, more injuries against this orc team than the average team would get. The other problem, though, on the orc team, there are 2 other major problems. The first, of course, is their massive armor value. I think I can deal with that, and I'll tell you why later. The second problem we have is that they have 4 strength players. These black orcs are tough. They are really easy to level. You give them block and then guard, and they become incredible linemen for the rest of the game. You can give them Mighty Blow if you want to skill them up a little faster. You can give them Piling On if you want to make them into killers, but block and guard just turn them into the most reliable linemen in the world. And they are incredibly powerful, incredibly tough to take down, incredibly tough to 2-die block. Because remember, you need to have more than their strength in your block in order to get a 2-die block, which means you need 5 strength, which means you need 2 assists with a 3 strength player, or you need 1 assist with a 4 strength player. Already, these are, dangerous pieces. I have kind of a counter for these. I come reasonably prepared. This is one of the locations where Necromantic struggles compared to Undead, because Undead, they actually have better players to deal with the Black Orcs. They still only have 2, like I do. I only have 2 players to deal with the Black Orcs. But they have better players. We'll talk about my solution to deal with them later, but it's important to keep in mind Tucker poses a problem to me by having 4 strength players. The final problem is he starts with more block than me. Block makes these guys far more reliable at blocking. It's as simple as that. Block is an incredibly useful talent to have. The more of it you start off with, the more you can block early in your turn. If you don't have block, you should block later in your turn. And honestly, that's exactly my counter to him having more block. I've got to pick up the ball and move all my pieces before I even think about throwing a block at Tucker. And that's going to be my solution. That's going to be one of the places where I may fall down. because I'm not very good at turn order still. It's the biggest tell of a good Blood Bowl player, is turn order. What do they do first and why? And I'm definitely more experienced than Tucker and Charles in this regard, but I'm still not very experienced, and you'll see it definitely in this game. But if I'm going to beat this Orc team and beat them convincingly, my turn order has to be on point. I have to do all of the critical and less risky moves before the risky moves and the non-critical moves. That's what turn order means. You need to do your critical stuff early, you need to do your less risky stuff early. Sometimes critical stuff is going to be risky, but sometimes you need to do it. That's why you do the critical stuff first, so you still have a reroll to do it with. Because team rerolls can only be used once per turn. Because if you block first and you have to use a reroll, you won't have a reroll to pick up the ball. For Tucker, that's not a big issue because he has a godsend piece for a 3 agility team, a piece with sure hands, meaning this piece gets an automatic reroll. It means it's as likely as my guy to pick up the ball if I use a team reroll, but it means he doesn't have to use his team reroll. It makes it a much more reliable piece. He can pick up the ball at the end of his turn if he wants to. Lots of options provided to him by the thrower. So there you go. Those are the kind of 4 problems that Tucker's Orcs pose me. They have armor value, they have a reliable ball carrier, they have 4 strength pieces, and they have more block than me. I've already told you how I'm going to deal with the block. My turn order needs to be on point. How am I going to deal with the rest of those problems? Here's my team, second Premiership. It's interesting. This is almost a variation on the undead team. The difference is you don't get skeletons, your linemen are only zombies. The undead team come with wights, mummies, skeletons, zombies, and ghouls. Necromantic have the option of wights, zombies, werewolves, flesh golems, and still ghouls. You might notice I don't have any ghouls. One of the choices you have to make, usually, you can go with a kind of a mix, but if you want 2 werewolves, which I absolutely think is mandatory, werewolves are the star players of the necromantic team, so I always think at a base level, I'm taking 2 werewolves, I'm taking 2 wights, because those are my star players. If you go that route, you have to choose between flesh golems and ghouls. You can get both of them if you go with 1 werewolf, but like I said, I don't want to. So I had to choose between flesh golems and ghouls. Ghouls start about as good as they're ever going to get. That's why I kind of criticized Charles for putting all of his SPP on his ghouls last season in the undead team. Necromantic ghouls are exactly the same as undead ghouls. They start with dodge, they start with Ag 3, strength 3, their movement speed I think 7. They're really fast players. They start as good as they're going to get. So that means if you hire a ghoul halfway through a season, it's probably as good as the ghoul you'd pick up now. Flesh golems need level ups. They need them badly. And they're hard to level up. So the longer they're in your teams, the more chance they have of getting MVPs. That's why I decided to go with flesh golems. Also, I want to play more Bashi. It's kind of my style as a coach. It's kind of my style as a Blood Bowl player. Playing more Bashi is kind of the way I work. And flesh golems are really good for that. They're strength 4. They are armor value 9. Stand firm is a really nice starting skill. General strength access means they can be skilled just like you would skill Black Orcs. Guard, block first, and then guard. This is why I kind of prefer the flesh golems to the mummies. Mummies from the undead team are 5 strength. But flesh golems they start with stand firm. They have general access by normal. You'd have to roll doubles to get block on a mummy. You don't have to roll doubles to get block on a flesh golem. And against 3 strength teams, flesh golems are just as powerful. The problem flesh golems have is when you run into 4 strength teams. Black Orcs, Saurus. Those are the 2 main ones, Black Orcs and Saurus. I can't think of any others that really stack their line with 4 strength pieces. That's right. Chaos and Nurgle have Chaos Warriors too. Those are the main teams: Chaos, Nurgle, Orcs, and Lizardmen. That's where the flesh golems start to really pale compared to the mummies, because you have 2 of them for the mummies, 2 of them for the flesh golems, but the flesh golems have 4 strength, the mummies have 5. Flesh golems look like a lineman piece, but you can only have 2 of them. You'd much rather have 4 of them. Mummies actually look like a big guy, so it's like, oh, you usually only have 1 of those. Getting 2 of them is a big boon. So, yeah, there's definitely I think the Mummy is, like, almost objectively a better player, but I kind of prefer Flesh Golems. Then again, I've never played Necro, so I only prefer them theoretically. I haven't seen how they play yet. Yes. So, my Flesh Golems are going to be my semi-dealing with the 4-strength players. With 1 assist, these can 2-die block Black Orcs. That doesn't mean I'm going to stack them on the line on defense. Might not even stack them on the line on offense. This is something I should figure out now. Here's how I stack my line. Here's the theory behind how I stack my line. On defense, I throw Sacrificial Lambs on the line. They're going to get free blocks against whoever I stick on there. So I like to put zombies on there. I like to put ghouls on... Not ghouls. Ghouls are more valuable. But I like to put skeletons on there. I like to put rotters from the Nurgle team on there. Linemen are perfect for this because they are your least valuable pieces on a human team, on an elf team, on an orc team. These are pieces that if they die, they die. At the end of the day, whatever. Most of the time in Blood Bowl, you're trying to let your opponent get as few blocks off on you as possible. The initial line on defense is giving your opponent free blocks. That's how defense works. They get to block your line. There are 2 schools of thought. One of them is that you put your good pieces on the line so they're less likely to go down. The second thought is put Sacrificial Lambs on the line because you don't care if they go down. I go for the second school of thought. And so, on defense, I'm going to put my zombies on the line. That's how it's going to go. But on offense, you try to line your lineup so that you can get free blocks on everybody as easily as possible, while still making sure your flanks are covered, just in case there's a blitz, which is where your opponent gets a free turn. If that happens, you don't want them to be able to run through and pick up the ball. You want to defend for that. However, otherwise on offense, I try to line up my line so that I can attack everyone the opponent has on his defensive line easily. This means setting up so I have automatic assists, setting up so that I have easy ways to get assists, setting up so that as soon as I make one block, the other blocks get easier. I see a lot of guys in this tournament, that they have 1-die blocks on offense on their line, and they take them. And I'm not that guy. I either have a 2-die block, or I'm not taking the free blocks. That might be what I have to do against Tucker. I might not have enough strength in his team to block his entire line. Especially if he stacks it with Black Orcs, which is an easy new player thing to do. It's probably good against me, because I can't block down those Black Orcs. I wouldn't do it, because those Black Orcs are much more valuable running ahead of my line, and starting to really cramp up my my offense. But that's basically what I'm going to plan to do to attack those 4-strength pieces. Similarly with the Whites, I'm going to use them. One of the things that the Necro have an advantage versus Undead is that their Whites are much more... How do we say, like, they're much more flexible early on. On the Undead team, you want to skill those Whites early. That means they're going to be your ball carriers for the first couple of games. They're good ball carriers. They have block. They're less likely to go down. They're as likely to pick up the ball as ghouls. They have 1 less movement allowance. Whites are great ball carriers for Undead. Necro have a better ball carrier. The Werewolf. 8 movement allowance, 3 agility, 3 strength, 8 movement armor value, regeneration. I'm not going to go over the mechanics of regeneration here, it's in a tutorial video, but essentially, these guys are tanky. They're slightly tankier than armor value 8 would allow. They come back from the dead more than you'd think. They're nasty pieces of work. Now, attacking, one of their most valuable assets is their movement allowance, because they can pick up the ball. They're good ball carriers. Like, when I said that they're a better ball carrier than the Whites, I don't mean that long term. They're not your ball carrying piece, but they are the most valuable place to stick your SPP. So these 2 werewolves are going to be scoring my first 4 touchdowns, almost certainly, because they're both going to get level ups before anyone else. This is because a couple of reasons. First of all, they're the most valuable pieces to get them. But second of all, I'm playing Chaos Dwarves soon. And these pieces are going to be essential against Chaos Dwarves. And also against Orcs. Because this is where I deal with armor value 9. This claw means that it basically, like, it explains it in a way that I don't like. This makes sense, but I think new players don't like this explanation. It doesn't jive with them. So I like to explain it like this, because it's true. Claw means that any piece that has an armor value higher than 7, essentially now has an armor value of 7. That's how it is. So for example, if this piece hits an orc that has an armor value of 9, it actually has an armor value of 7. That's what Claw does. Because it says that any armor roll of an 8 or more, which is the armor roll you'd have to make for a 7 armor value. Orcs would usually have to hit a 10 or more. This is on 2d6. There are not a lot of results on 2d6 that hit 10, 11, and 12. Literally, it's like, I think it's like 5? I think it's 5 results. A 5 and a a 5 and a 5, a 6 and a 5, a 5 and a 6, and a 6 and a 6. So it's 4. I think it's 4 results. But hey, my dice math is terrible. I think it's 4 results on 2d6 that will actually result in an injury or a stun or a KO or whatever. Claw's really good against that. I'm just gonna be bashier against them than I would be otherwise, which is good because otherwise Necro's quite a squishy team. It's not armor value 7, but aside from the flesh golems, it is armor value 8. That makes them really average. They're gonna go down and get stunned a lot. Especially the zombies. The zombies are pretty unreliable linemen, unfortunately. In the bash department, we're behind. We're clearly behind. But hopefully I can position the werewolves to get claw blocks in as much as possible. Problem is, with Frenzy, which I haven't explained yet, with Frenzy if you get a push, you make another block after the push. This is dangerous. You've got to make sure you've got assists on 2 blocks in a row if you're going to use this. This is another place where my inexperience will show in the next game, is if I get Frenzy 2 die blocks and then into a 1 die block. That would be dangerous. Or even worse, 2 die blocks into 2 die against, 1 die into 2 die against. All of these things, these are called Frenzy traps, where the first block's okay, but if you get the wrong result on the first block, you have to make a second one, because Frenzy is not an optional skill. You have to make the second block if you get a push, which can be dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Luckily, neither of the teams I'm playing have dodge, which makes Frenzy a lot better, in my opinion, because it means that I don't have to get tackle on this guy. I don't have to play around dodge, because like you probably know, a defender stumbles, which is one of the results on the block dice, the d6. If they have dodge, it counts as a push, and it counts as a push for Frenzy too, which means there are now 3 results on a d6 that can result in a second block. Push, there's a second push, there are 2 push dice, push results on the d6, and stumbles. That means 50% of the time the dice is going to come up with a result that means that I have to make a second block. Anyway, dodge isn't a problem with this werewolf, at least unless I see a hobgoblin floating around with dodge, in which case I'll take tackle. Otherwise, block is a really good skill to first take on this guy, then maybe dodge to keep him on his feet. You definitely want to take, like, Mighty Blow on doubles for, shits and giggles. Not shits and giggles. Claw and Mighty Blow is a really powerful combo. It means that you injure people on a 7+. Everybody in the game. It's really good. And yeah, just in general, that's a pretty good place to be. Sidestep on werewolves is really good because it's anti-surf protection. Frenzy is a skill that generally people look at, oh, that's a really good surfing skill. Because if someone's like 2 squares away from the edge, you can very often surf somebody in 1 turn with a nice placed blitz with a werewolf. Werewolves can do it, but I think witch elves are the big ones that people are like, oh, be scared of the witch elves from the dark elf team, because they're the real Frenzy killers. But yeah, werewolves can do it too. Werewolves are really nice blocking pieces. You don't want them to be your ball carriers in endgame, because you want them to be blocking all the fucking time. So, yeah, that's what I'd say about werewolves. Honestly, on a necro team, I feel like a ghoul will be your eventual ball carrier. It's got dodge, it can get sure hands and block, it can turn pretty quickly into a good ball carrier, as much as I hate to admit it. Don't want one early. But eventually you'll probably get a ghoul. If it dies, you can buy a new one. But maybe you will end up with a white as your ball carrier. I'm not too sure. The whites in this game, though, are going to be basically like advanced linemen, maybe midfielder type players, where they're going to be just in the mix, maybe doing a bit of blitzing, maybe doing a bit of ball retrieval. 6 movement allowance is a reasonable amount. It's the second fastest on the team. They can't really catch up with the werewolves. They're going to be spotting the cage a lot of the time. They're really reliable with that block skill. We're going to need them to make as many blocks as possible. If I do end up stacking the line on offense, it'll be with whites, because then I might be able to block earlier. Because making a block a 2-die block with the block skill is actually a pretty reliable move. I think I covered all the threats. Armor value 9 I'm covering with the Claw, Strength 4 I'm covering with the Fleshies, the block I'm covering by turn order, and then the Thrower being a really reliable ball carrier. Basically, I have a reroll. Turn order should kind of negate that too. Unfortunately, though, I only have 2 rerolls instead of 3. If you're wondering how I would get 3 rerolls, there are a couple of ways. The obvious way is to get rid of the Flesh Golems and get Ghouls. That would give me 3 rerolls. Another way would be to drop a Werewolf and get a single Ghoul. That would get me 3 rerolls. I could drop a Werewolf and get another 2 Zombies, I think, and still afford 3 rerolls and start with a substitute. Lots of ways to do it. Not for me. I'm going to be starting with this lineup. It's a lineup I'm really confident with. My only problem is it definitely lacks skills early. You need SPP on this team. This team isn't very good at getting SPP. And yeah, my inexperience means, my slight inexperience means that I could lose games in this tournament. Against Tucker, against Charles, maybe even against the AI, although I think that's unlikely. So, that's my closing thoughts, is that I think this team is not strong enough to really paper over my cracks, as it were, and I think I could drop points. But hopefully I get to play it to its full potential. I get to experience the Werewolves, because they're really, really great pieces. And I get to learn a little bit more about Frenzy, because Frenzy is one of those skills that I'm still not entirely confident with. I got it on my Troll Slayers last season. I've played Witch Elves before. I've played War Dancers on a Wood Elf team, or Blitzers on a Pro Elf team. Those guys I've given Frenzy to later, because it's a really good skill. And I've played with it. I think I've also had big guys with Frenzy before. I can't remember which ones. I think the Minotaur has Frenzy in the Chaos team. Stuff like that. But I haven't played with it enough to really know how its surf potential comes to come to wake. I also think Necro is a very surf-heavy team. That might be one of the ways I counter Armor Value 9, is surfing people, getting that man advantage. If I can get 2 men up, if I can get a Black Orc out and gone, I'm going to be in a really good spot. But on kickoff 11 versus 11... I'm worried about this game against Tucker. I think it's even odds. I think his team's better than mine. But hopefully I'll be able to pilot it to a victory. Hopefully I've explained my strategy going into the match. This was a very long video for strategy, but it was also my strategy going into the tournament. It's content, and it was fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you guys later today or tomorrow, depending on when you see this video, for myself, second Premiership, taking on Oklahoma City Thunder in the opening contest of the East Side Invitational October League. See you guys then.